Hello everybody. How are we doing today? I am Michael Poripat, aka eSports Attorney. I am joined here today with Roger, Ryan, and Anna, all attorneys in the esports industry in some capacity or another, all better than me in every single aspect they could possibly imagine. So the four of us, along with a couple of other people actually, have been discussing for a while the possibility of just kind of sitting down and having a discussion about legal issues that keep popping up every now and then in esports in a very calm and appropriate and professional manner, but in a fun manner. And we decided we were going to stream it, so we are, and that's what this is. We encourage you to join in the conversation, ask us questions, and we'll try to get to them as much as we can, but we're just going to try to talk things out. And today we're going to talk about team and player associations in the esports industry. Now, two quick disclaimers here. The first is a legal disclaimer that we have to give you because we're attorneys and people will yell at us if we don't. Nothing we do here creates any kind of client relationship with us. This isn't considered legal advice. You should always go seek your own attorney before making any kind of action. So this is not any sort of legal advice, so don't take it as that at all whatsoever. And two is that I, or really no one else in this channel, is very technical savvy. So I anticipate every single thing that could go wrong in this show to go wrong, and I am absolutely not ready for any of it. Period. So when it happens, and we're totally expecting it. So why don't we go around the digital table here and introduce ourselves a little bit, starting immediately to my right, I suppose. Roger.
Thanks for having me on. My name is Roger Quiles. I'm a solo attorney from New York City. I represent esports teams, players, associated businesses, and the like in a bunch of transactional matters. So basically doing a lot of contracts, a lot of consulting. I also run Elite Sports Management, which is an esports dedicated player agency to bring the sports agent into the esports content.
I am Brian Morrison. I'm a video game attorney on Reddit. I do the weekly AMAs where I give out legal advice to game developers and some publishers, some other avenues. I've started working a lot more in esports. I work with some of the top players in Dota, League, here in Storm. It is a very fun industry with not a lot of actual controlling case law or laws, so it's interesting to see how it's growing, and glad to be a part of it. Apparently I'm too quiet.
Apparently everybody's too quiet. And do you remember that little disclaimer I gave at the beginning where we're not technical masters? Yeah, all of my inbound sound. All right, let me try this. I'm just gonna raise this up. All right, introduce yourself, Anna, and I will continue tweaking with stuff, and hopefully things happen.
Yeah, I think your disclaimer was just the opposite. All good stuff. No, thanks for that. My name is Anna. I'm a lawyer as well, and I took a very far. I started in the industry. I help players in well, both let's say important games, esports as well as sports organizations and well other stakeholders in the industry.
All right, excellent. And I apparently can't hear her at all. Okay. Anna 1% at best. I have upped every single aspect of my volumes that I could, and nothing is happening. Is this... Alright.
Really?
Is she... It's me. It is 200% me, but we just don't know why it's me. You can feel free to scream at me. My Skype volume is up. Everything's up. I don't understand. Audio settings. Speakers are up. It's going through that. You know what? You know what? Can you hear her now? Somebody tell me you can hear them now. People talk.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now? Hello.
Please tell me that was it.
Can everyone hear us?
I'm waiting. There's just an anticipation. There's just an anticipation. There's words. There's words. Okay, we have We have things. Excellent. All right. You know what?
All right, so I'm
Introduce
at.
yourselves again. This way they can actually understand who you are.
What would you?
Okay.
Well, first, what did you do that was so incredibly stupid?
Don't worry about it. Just move on. Let's go to the introductions.
We were still muted.
Now you have to turn it down.
100%.
Absolutely not.
Now turn it down.
Now turn it down.
Yeah, you clearly you turned it up too much.
You turned it up to 11.
Well, I did change too many things at once. But they can hear you now.
All right.
So I will...
All right, so yeah, just real quickly again, I'm Ryan Morrison. I'm the video game attorney on Reddit. I do the weekly AMAs for game developers. I work exclusively in video games, mostly in the actual development side. I have done considerable work in esports as well. I work with a lot of the top players in Dota, League, and Heroes. And not too much in Hearthstone or StarCraft, but, you know, same kind of idea behind most of the laws there. I am an avid player of esports, not well, but I enjoy them, and that's it. Roger.
Right, I'm Roger Quiles. I'm a solo attorney from New York City. So I represent clients, teams, players, associated businesses connected to the esports industry in several titles. So notably Call of Duty, CSGO, and League of Legends as well. I'm probably forgetting some others, so if any of my clients are watching, sorry. And I also run Lead Sports Management, which is a player agency dedicated to servicing esports players in their contract negotiations and such.
Hello, my name is Anna Baumann. I'm a lawyer as well. I'm proud representing Europe here in this esteemed circle. I'm admitted to the German bar. I focus on esports as an industry space. As a lawyer, I have top players as clients, as well as some organizations and other stakeholders in esports.
All right, excellent. So now that we've actually got introductions done with volume, let's move on to the actual subject. So today we're going to be talking about team and player associations. This has kind of gotten a little bit of a lot of news lately in terms of people trying to form an association and whether or not one should be formed and how one should go about. And there's actually even been a couple of attempts, including an kind of sort of team association, which we'll get to. But first, I just kind of want to go over the overarching question here is esports in need of a players' union at this point in time?
Maybe I should start with that. Well, I think absolutely yes. It still seems that players don't realize the leverage they have. This industry is built on their shoulders. Without players, we don't have esports, we don't have any kind of entertainment. And industry standards are getting better slowly. But in my opinion, there's still a lot of room for improvement, and players need to realize that they need to become an active part in negotiating their position. I think especially players in the CSGO space have realized that, and they do something about it. But I think we need some kind of association, union, pretty soon. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's an important thing to keep in mind that, you know, esports isn't one thing. It's a bunch of different games and a bunch of different industries arguing and trying to negotiate with a bunch of different companies and leagues even within one game. So the idea of a players' union is more difficult to form here than in, say, something like football. The reason it is more difficult is because it would be trying to have a players' union for the football athletes, but also put in the same union, you know, basketball, hockey, and baseball. They have different interests. It's a different product, and they're just very different skill sets and different players that don't translate from one game to the other. So are there overarching issues such as just making sure that players are represented and getting fair contracts, and there's not clauses in there where they're held to non-competes that are unconscionable and not even legal for years and years? Yeah, of course, that exists across the board, and that's probably where unions need to start. But then eventually I think it really needs to break down into if not specific games, then specific types of games, as in first-person shooters or MOBAs, et cetera, et cetera. I think that's really the only way that this is going to see any actual progress meaningfully.
Yeah, I would agree with Ryan also. I do think that it's difficult, if not almost impossible, to try and condense these multiple games and multiple communities with their varying issues into a single union. And you even look at, I think the professional sports example pretty much sums it up well. Each community has its completely separate issues. There are some that are really overarching, and some problems that you do see across the board, like players not being paid and such. But the fact of the matter is, and this taking this back to the original question, do we need a players' union at this point? I think even before we get there, and Anna hinted at this also, we need a collective consensus from the players to want to stand up for their own rights, before we could even get to the next step, which would be forming the union.
Which entirely doesn't exist. I mean, there is no... I've offered pro bono services to players that I know are getting screwed over, and they still don't want to use us because, not anything against our firm specifically, they're against using an attorney at all to look over a contract. I've seen team owners tell the players, if you get an attorney, you're off the team. That's illegal. You can't do that, but they do it. So there's a huge mentality shift that has to happen before, exactly as Roger said, before there is any movement on a union. There are players starting to see it and wake up, but then it's forgotten and disappears the next week. Players like Arteezy said things during the height of some nonsense that, people are here to watch us, not the team specifically. People are more an Arteezy fan than they are whatever team he's on this week fan. So, that's important to keep in mind, and I hope more players start to realize that they are the product here and that their rights need to be protected and looked at, not the people with all the money investing in these teams. They're helping create esports in a positive way in the sense that now we have all these teams and money behind it, but some owners are acting very maliciously and terribly and hurting the overall system.
I think that's kind of like a two-part issue too, because in one aspect you have players who, like you said, feel like they don't even really notice that they're getting screwed over, right? And these are the players that, to an extent, I worry about the most. Yeah, that's definitely most of them. They're in like this ignorant bliss, and they're just like, yeah, whatever. I'm getting paid to play games. I don't like. How could I possibly be getting screwed over? I'm getting paid $50 a week. Like, no, wait, well, what? Huh? No, hold on. Like, there's an issue here.
Yeah, I mean, most football players would join the NFL for free just because they get to play in the NFL. And that's very much what esports is right now. These kids play these games competitively, they get ranked highly, and all of a sudden they're doing well, and they'll do anything to play competitively for free. They don't worry about getting paid, and they don't worry about getting a proper contract or anything like that. And until they start to realize that they are the product and they can be earning all this money and they should be earning all this money and they should have a much bigger cut of the millions and millions esports is making, there's going to be absolutely no progress on something like a union.
Something that's actually interesting that I've seen in the Call of Duty community of all places recently, with the recent announcement of the Activision-backed World League and so on, and I know we'll get a lot of flack for saying Call of Duty's not an esports console, but anyway, there's
You're lagging a little bit there, Roger.
There's been a lot of talk. Sorry.
That's okay.
But there's been a lot of talk by players specifically saying that, they're assuming that they're going to have all of these opportunities coming their way now that the league is having substantially more funding. And they're actually engaging in talks about, what can we do to protect ourselves? What can we do to, keep our interests and act in our best interest moving forward?
I think what has been said doesn't entirely reflect my experiences with players. There are players out there who are very aware of their need of legal advice, and they